welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at the Transformers Legacy Wave 2 Deluxe Class Knockout. Before we take a look at the figure, let's take a look at the packaging. So of course up front here we do have Transformers, the Legacy logo, we have Prime Universe Knockout, we do have a nice artwork shot of him in his car mode, we do have the open window displaying the figure where he would be in the product. Packaging, of course on the side we do have two shots of artwork in his mode with his battle spear, and a really nice close-up of his head looking very cool. On the back he transforms in 18 steps, of course a product shot of the robot and alt mode. There's a barcode there to show his stats if you scan that. And on the last side here, of course, we do have the Decepticon Legacy artwork, and that's pretty much it for the packaging. Let's now get into the review. Here we have Knockout in his really cool looking robot mode. Let's take a look at the details, starting at the top with that head sculpt. Some nice white for the face, some red for the eyes, some nice silver for that crest section, and of course some more red for the main helmet section. Getting to the armor, of course, some nice gunmetal gray for the shoulder and hand at the forearm. There's some nice red there for this nice grill section. There's a mixture of silver and gunmetal gray with some purple for that Decepticon symbol, some more black there, and some more red for the area around the neck and head. Of course, the arm is the same design as the other one, of course. Getting to the stomach and crotch, lots of silver and red, really well sculpted. Getting to the top of the legs, mostly that gunmetal gray. And as for the side of the leg, I actually really do like how you can see the whole back of the car here. I really do like how they did the wheels with this nice yellow and black, not a mushroom peg. That looks really good. With the whole car side actually tilted, it actually looks super cool. Almost partially transformed. Of course, not a nice detail here, some red and black. As for the feet, some more red. Back here, we do have a little bit of kibble. This is pretty much the entire top half of the car. And of course, this is really a heavy, extensive retool repaint of the Jackpot or Jazz from the 86 line. So I really don't think they could have changed it at all for this figure, because it really is just, of course, a repaint remold. But overall, detail-wise, that actually looks super cool. Let's now get into articulation. So the head is on a ball joint, so it can look up and down, left to right, and of course tilt left to right as well. The arm can move out and in. It is a swivel at the shoulder. There's also a swivel at the forearm and elbow bend, and I guess slightly hand rotation you can move this in, but that's really due to transformation. There's also, of course, waist rotation. The leg can kick that far out, that far forward, that far back, and of course there is a swivel, a knee bend to a very good degree, and of course an ankle pivot. And unfortunately, in my copy, this whole section is really supposed to stay tabbed in, but it really doesn't, unfortunately. So I guess you can kind of tweak that to have better articulation if you want to, but I do kind of wish that stayed tabbed in. But that's pretty much it for articulation. Let me just neaten him up a little bit, then we can get into his accessories. So he does come with two accessories. He comes with one blaster and one blade. So here is the blaster done in gray. Kind of a boring color. I wish maybe it was done in that nice gunmetal gray, or maybe the silver that we saw in the figure, but overall looks pretty cool. So you can just plug this into his hand like that, so he can blast at the Autobots like that. And he also does come with this really cool Energon-infused blade. I really do like this nice blue and transparent kind of smoky gray plastic they use. So you can just get this peg, and of course there is a port on the side of the arm, and you can just plug that into place like that. So you can use sort of a blade that came out of his arm. It actually looks super cool, in my opinion. So you can have them separated, or you can actually connect them together to form his staff, which I think is actually a really nice nostalgic kind of callback to the Transformers Prime show, because if you watch that, there were several times he actually had sort of an electric staff or pole which he used, which is kind of cool. They include it in here. So I can show you how that works now. So you just disconnect these from the arm and the hand. Let me just straighten him up a little bit. Again, sometimes he does have a tendency to kind of wobble, but what you're going to do is make sure this tab is sticking out, and you're just going to wiggle this in place. Make sure that tab does not stick in, or it will not be able to attach. But here we have the staff connect together. I actually think this looks very cool. So you can actually plug this on the back if you want to. So there is a port, and there is a peg right here, and you can just plug that into place. I think that looks pretty cool. That's good storage. I just kind of wish maybe it was a little bit higher up, because it's a little bit low and almost even touches his feet. So, but overall, storage-wise, that's pretty good. But of course, since it's a weapon, you're going to want to have him hold it in his hands. So there is a handle or a peg, and of course there is a port in the hand itself, and you can just plug that into place. So there he has his Energon-infused electricity staff, which is what I typically call it, and I think that looks pretty cool. I do like this accessory, but just taking a look back at the Golden Disc Collection Jackpot, that actually came with a blaster and a mini-con, so I kind of wish maybe this figure came with like a drill or a saw, which he used several times in the Transformers Prime show, if you watch that show. So it'd been nice, maybe, I actually had an idea if they got the welding tool from the 86 Blur and just slightly remolded or retweaked that piece into a saw or a blade and give it to this figure. I think that would look pretty cool. But accessory-wise, that is pretty much it. Let's now get into a quick mold comparison. Here he is with Jackpot. So I do not have the 86 Jazz, so I'm just going to compare it with this figure, which between this one and Jazz, the only change is the head sculpt. But between these two, there is actually several major changes. Of course, accessory-wise, they're completely different. Also, the head sculpt is completely different as well. The arms and really the top of the legs and the knees are pretty much the exact same, but the feet as well are completely different, as well as the chest, which this is really the front of the car, so you'll mostly see that main difference when they're on their alt modes. But as you can see, actually the side of the car on their legs is quite different in sculpt as well. So pretty much mold-wise, that's pretty much it. The backpack, as you can see, is a little bit bigger on Knockout than Jackpot's. As you can see, the back of the feet are different as well. He has this whole fin section, which really has mostly to do with the car. He doesn't even have that, so quite an extensive change. I actually didn't even realize it when this figure was first revealed. It was actually a repaint or retool, because that's how big of a change it is. You know, I never really had the 86 Jazz. I had just gotten this one at the time this was revealed, so I never really put two and two together. They're like, oh, this is a heavy repaint retool, but they do look very cool next to each other. And that's pretty much it for the mold comparison, and between the two, I definitely prefer Knockout over Jackpots. Let's now get into a quick Transformers Prime comparison. Here he is with Bulkhead and RC. I think they do look very cool next to each other, and yes, I know a lot of people do have problems with the modernization of these characters, but honestly, I'm perfectly fine. I was never actually able to get the original Transformers Prime figures when the show was first put out. I was actually able to get like few, I was able to get the original Knockout and also a Megatron. That was it. I was only able to get like 3 or 4 figures, and I actually sold those off. So I'm actually really glad they're coming back to these characters. Yes, they're not the exact way they looked in the show, and that doesn't really bother me. Of these 3, probably the weakest one does have to be RC, but these 2 are actually pretty good, strong characters, and I really do hope they honestly complete the entire original cast of the show. Maybe they could do, Octus Megatron, Ultra Magnus. That would be really cool to see. Maybe Ultra Magnus could be just a heavy, extensive retool of Optimus Prime, and maybe even a smoke screen. I think that'd be super cool, and maybe the next Commander class could be Predaking from Season 3. That would be awesome to see. But that's pretty much it for the comparisons. Let's now get into transformation into the vehicle mode. So what you're going to do is go at the arms, use the swivel here, and fold in the hand. Same thing on their side, just fold in the hand like that. You can then get the whole chest piece and move this up like that. You can then get this red piece, move that up, and then you can fold the head in like that. You can then go to the back, make sure this back piece is up like that. You can get the stomach section and just rotate this around. You're not going to move the waist, just that one singular piece. You can then move the head all the way down like that. You can get this red piece and move that out, and that will form the entire top part of the hood. You can then fold in the arms or hands like that. Just bring those in, and just make sure these tabs are sticking out, because they will actually tab into the doors of this whole backpack section. Then what you're going to do is collapse the feet like that. You can then get this whole car section and hinge this up like that. Of course, same thing on the other side, fold that up like that. And then now we can go to this whole backpack section. So you're going to move out the doors like this, like that, which can be a bit of trouble sometimes. You can then bring out this whole other section right here out like that. And then you can fold in the legs, just like that. And there is a tab and a slot on this side and a tab and a slot on that side. So just tab that in, and then just straighten everything up, and everything will just kind of go into place. So just tab everything in. So there is a slot on the door and a tab on the arms. So that will just go into place like that. Just get everything tabbed in like that. Do the same thing on the other side. Get everything aligned and tabbed in. And there we have Knockout in his really cool looking sports car mode. Legacy Knockout in his really cool looking race car mode. Let's take a look at the details, starting at the very front for this grille section. Done in some nice silver and gunmetal gray with some black here for the headlights. Of course, some nice red for the whole hood section. Some nice smoky gray plastic for the windows, looking very cool. On the side here, I actually really do like how they kept this whole silver kind of fire design from the TV show. That actually looks super cool. I think they did a really good job with that. For the wheels, of course, nice yellow and black. Unfortunately, they are mushroom peg wheels at the front, but not at the back. I'm not really sure why they are not the same, but overall that looks pretty nice, and overall looks very cool. Some more smoky gray for this back section. Overall looks very cool. The feet do kind of stick out, but not too bad. Of course, we do have the whole lights here. Maybe there's a trunk there, but overall, design-wise, it actually looks super cool. It's very plain, but actually looks really nice. Let's now get in one quick comparison with the alt mode. Here he is with Jackpot, his mold weight. As you can see, very different in design and sculpt, as you can see. Really, the main similarities are, I guess, barely where the top section is and the window section is, but of course, Jackpot has this whole, fin section in the back, and there's actually quite a bit more curves. This one's more chunky than Jackpot, so quite a difference, but there is a few similarities you can actually pick out. Transformation-wise, actually, that's where a lot of similarities you can tell. They're pretty much the exact same transmission, and some of the stuff really do end up in the same way. As you can see, the arms are there, the legs, the head you can see, so pretty similar. If you have Jazz or Jackpot, you know the exact transmission to do for Knockout here, but overall look pretty cool next to each other, and again, of the two, I definitely like Knockout more. And that's pretty much it for the comparison. Let's now get into, of course, the accessory storage. So you can store the whole staff on him if you want to, or you can break him up. So, of course, you could put on the blaster up top like that, and you could get the blade and store that on the back if you wanted to. And overall, that looks pretty cool. Or if you wanted to, you could attach them together in the staff form and put it up top, like he's going to spear some Autobots in their alt mode, which is a pretty cool idea. You could do that like that if you wanted to, or you could store it on the side like he's going to pop their tires or something. I don't know, I'm just making up some stuff to do, but that looks pretty cool. So overall, vehicle mode I actually really do like. Let's now get into final thoughts for Knockout. Get into final thoughts for the Transformers Legacy Wave 2 Deluxe Class Knockout. Starting in the car mode, I actually really do like it. They kept a lot of characteristics from the Transformers Prime show and definitely put them on here. I actually really do like the whole tattoo kind of fire silver effect on there. That actually looks really good on the side of the car. I'm not really sure why the front wheels are mushroom peg, but the back wheels aren't, so I'm not really sure why they're different. I kind of wish they were just all mushroom peg wheels, or none of them were, just have them all the same. That's just a minor complaint. I actually really do like the front grille section, then that nice silver and gunmetal gray. The small Decepticon similar actually looks super cool, and the smoky gray for the windows actually looks really nice. Getting down to storage, it's not the best, but I can't complain because, of course, he comes with a giant staff, so there's really not that many places you can plug it onto a car, and it actually looks good and normal. So typically, I will store the blade and the gun separately. I'd probably put the gun on top and the blade on the side. That's just my opinion where it looks the best. So now you get down to transformation into the Robo mode, of course, vice versa. If you have Jazz or Jackpot, I think it's pretty straightforward. It's the exact same. If you have any of those figures, you know exactly what to do here. It's not, I would say, the most fun transformation. It can actually be a little bit fiddly at times, especially with this whole top section. I know a lot of people complained with Jazz and Jackpot that the whole backpack was actually very fragile because a lot of it was clear plastic. I think this one is fine. I think it's very sturdy and thick. I'm not really worried about it breaking at all. Down to the Robo mode, I actually really do like the design. They kept that head sculpt and actually looks super cool, very realistic and accurate to the Transformers Prime show. Actually looks really cool with the staff in his hands, and I honestly don't mind that it separates, but personally me, if I was making this toy, I actually honestly would not have the staff separate into a blade and a blaster, because he never really had a blaster in the TV show. He either had a saw or a drill or, of course, the staff. I really barely ever saw him use the blaster, so I'd be perfectly fine if it was just one accessory, just as the staff. But getting down to a complaint with the accessories, if you have Jackpot from the Golden Disc Collection Kingdom line, he came with a blaster and a minicon, which, yes, he was an exclusive, so I do understand why he came with more, but he was priced the same. He was priced at like $24. This was $24, so I do kind of wish maybe this figure came with a staff and maybe a drill or a saw. And actually earlier in the review I suggested maybe Hasbro could have gotten the whole welding tool from the 86 Blur from Studio Series and maybe just like remolded that to form sort of a drill or saw from the TV show, because he used that quite a bit. I think that would have been pretty cool to put with this figure, but that's just a minor complaint. Overall, good articulation, pretty much the same as 86 Jazz and Jackpot, really nothing to complain there. I kind of wish his joints were a little bit tighter in some areas. Unfortunately, at the knee, there's actually, the knee is supposed to tab into certain slots, but it really doesn't stay most of the time whenever you mess around with it. That's just my copy, of course. That could be, anyone could be different, but that's really just a minor complaint. Overall, really cool looking figure. I wouldn't say the most interesting of Wave 2. Of course, this is just a heavy repaint, redeco, but honestly, a pretty good one. I probably do like this more than the previous two versions of this mold. So let me know what you think of this figure in the comment section down below. Which one is your favorite of this mold so far? Knockout, Jackpots, or Jazz? I never got that figure. Maybe that one could be amazing, but I've actually heard and seen a lot of complaints about that one breaking, so I think most people will probably pick this one or Jackpot, but let me know in the comment section down below. Hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll see you next.